It's been good. All right. Welcome to StoneFruit Studios. It's been a year and a half making to finally get Josh on a microphone.
You have been trying to get me on a microphone since you started this at Bentley Studios. Yeah.
You're like, we're going to do one before I have Ryan, and then we're going to do one after, and then we can talk about the differences.
Well, I'll tell you, part of the difference is when you're about 8 months pregnant, you don't have time to do anything.
Yeah.
So should somebody want to know, that's how that works. And then after the baby comes, you don't have time for anything, period, other than living and surviving. That's all that you do.
And here we are. We finally got you on a mic.
Well, I figured the longer that I would wait, the closer that it would come. And now it literally lives within the StoneFruit Bentley Studios umbrella, which is super cool.
Yeah, so I wanted to kind of utilize this to get some cool content for StoneFruit in the end. So let's kind of go into the backstory on StoneFruit. How did it begin? How did the name come about? As much detail as you want to get into.
You're going deep. Okay. So StoneFruit, at its core, the business itself started about 10 years ago. I believe that the Boardman store is 9 years old, which would be the first real iteration of StoneFruit. Before that, we had the original. The original was in the Canfield space over by the Canfield High School, approximately a block away from where our current StoneFruit Cafe is in Canfield. It was extremely humble. There were some complications. It was not a facility that we probably should have been in, but everyone has to start somewhere. And that's where the grind began. Now, before we had that original StoneFruit, this whole concept started in a garage. So this is a hobby that has simply gone wildly out of control. I had a job in a marketing company where I was always traveling. I was the guy in the suit. I was always going to North Carolina, always going to Cleveland. I lived in a vehicle. And, not really something that I enjoy doing, but they took really good care of me, and I learned a lot. But I had a rule. Every Sunday, I would wake up, and I would roast coffee for myself for the week. And I had this tiny little roaster that we pulled from Turkey, and it was a 0.5 kilogram coffee roaster, which, to put it in terms, does 1.1 pounds, which is basically a double handful of raw coffee, which is more than enough for one person. And I would roast my coffee on Sundays, and that was my thing. I turned the phone off for 5 or 6 hours, and I had my little graphs, and I geeked out over that. It was something that I
little passion project.
I could focus on it. You know what I mean? And it was a way for me to turn work off, turn the phone off, and just sort of disconnect from life, and roast my coffee for the week. And lo and behold, I started to give that to. I gave some to my dad. I gave them some to friends. And one thing led to another. People really enjoyed what we were doing with this little passion project, this little hobby that I had out of a garage. Long story short, the marketing company ended up pulling all operations out of Ohio, and they wanted me to just go to North Carolina. I didn't want to go to North Carolina. I didn't want to chase money. My family is from Ohio. I am from Ohio, proud Boardman High School, YSU graduate. And it was important for me that I wasn't going to be that person that just chased funds. So they gave me a modest severance package, and I took about $5,000, which in the grand scheme of things is really quite laughable today. And we went to into that little space in Canfield, and we just started, and it was a nightmare. And every time we got something finished, something else fell apart. For example, we had it needed a bathroom, so I had to redo the bathroom. And I'm not a construction worker. You know me, every time we do something here, I get electrocuted. But so we're going in there, and I'm trying to figure out how to do a bathroom basically on YouTube. And I get this whole bathroom put together. Tile work looked like crap. And I'm pretty sure that I laid the tile down that sticks down, and I ended up grouting it anyway, which I don't know why anybody would do that, but whatever. And as soon as I got it done, I was super proud of it. And then we got a bad rainstorm, and the roof caved in the bathroom. And it was like, everything
now gone.
Everything was telling me, stop. Just stop. Don't do this anymore. I was getting kickback from family. I was getting kickback from friends. I was getting kickback from relationships. What are you doing? You had a good job. This place is a nightmare. And I owe a lot to and no one knows this, my brother-in-law, Zach. He was leaving for the military, and I got to watch, I'll get emotional talking about this. But when he was leaving for the military, he had one more day here, and we were supposed to paint. And I called Zach up that day, and I said, bro, we're not painting. I'm done. Whatever you want to go do, let's just go do. I don't care what it is. We'll just go do it. But I'm not painting this place. It's a nightmare. We're not going any further. Zach called me up and said, dude, we're going to paint. I'm coming there, and we're just going to get it done. I got all day long. Let's just paint. And it was the day that he showed up was the reason that we are here today, because he's the reason that it just didn't stop. Mm-hmm. If it wasn't for Zach saying, no, we're going to paint it, dude, it was painted like deep forest green. Okay. And we're talking like, you got to put like 30 coats on this, because this, like some lead paint from the 20s. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, this is some serious paint. So we're in there, and son of a gun, we painted that whole thing, and it started to kind of take shape to where he gave me momentum to do tomorrow. And that's sort of what we've been doing the entire time with StoneFruit. Because to get to this point in a company, the grind and the dedication and the time and the not knowing and just all of the little factors that come into play when you're trying to build a company from nothing, it's intense, So all that we do every single day is how do we get through today? How do we be a little bit better today? And then how are we going to utilize today to invest into tomorrow? But that's all that we do. I hear a lot of people talk about, well, I've got this 10-year plan. I don't have a 10-year plan. I have a plan to survive today. That's it. What do they say? Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is the blessing. And I really try to live by that. I try to instill that into the culture that we have here at StoneFruit. It's about today. It's about making a good experience today. It's about being kind to the customer today. And if we do those things today, then what happens tomorrow? What does tomorrow look like? I guarantee you it's going to be better if I only focus on positivity. I focus on positivity. If you focus on positivity, positivity grows. If you focus on crap, crap is going to grow. Yep. Okay. And so one of the things that we always just focus on is culture and being kind and being courteous. And it's not about coffee is so pretentious, and that was the thing that always sort of got me. I'm not a pretentious person. You can look on my social medias. I don't think I've posted anything in 2 years. Part of that is I don't know the account login. But I don't post things. I like to think I'm incredibly private. What I do for me, or I do for my family. It's not, trying to show off. But it is incredibly rewarding, to see where we've gone, where we came from. That hobby that's gone wildly out of control has spawned into a living, breathing cultural organism that sort of handles itself. And what's really cool is when your dream starts to bleed into other people's lives, and then they start to feed off of your dream, but then you sort of disconnect from it, and you can see that person's dream start to bleed into another employee's dream, and then they start to feed off of it. And then that's where that culture comes in, and things really start to get impressive, because this is bigger than any one person. This has gone wildly further than I ever thought it was going to go.
At this point, you can't wear all the hats in the business.
Absolutely not. No, I mean, listen, the reason that you're here sitting with me today, you came to us when we got married. Yep. I got married, and my wife was, hey, you got to meet this Liam guy. He's the best photographer. And I'm like, I saw the price, and I said, we better be. And so
I still remember that phone call. I got a phone call from you, and I was so excited. I was like, the guy that owns StoneFruit called me. He wants me to film his wedding, which is a big step.
And it's funny to even hear that, because that's not who I am. Yep. You know what I mean? But that it's cool to get to that point. But yeah, you came to us just when we were getting married, and I met you through them. And then what we're trying to do is, it's impossible for me to be the smartest person at the table 24/7. I don't even try to be. I'm very good at the things that I do. I like to consider myself an operator. I love problems. I'm a problem solver. I believe that there are no unsolvable problems, just creative solutions. And I need to stay in that wheelhouse. So the people that I like to surround myself with are people that are better at things than I am. Social media eludes me. Websites elude me. All of that level of technology. I'm good on a computer. Give me an Excel spreadsheet. The things that I need, I'm good with. But you're talking about going on the Apple and setting up maps and Dude, it's miserable. It's going to take
Spending
me forever.
6 months with Meta to try to organize addresses.
I don't even know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? You start saying Meta and I'm done in one ear, and out the other. But when you surround yourself with really good people, and that's where you found yourself, and then we were able to come together and to create something way more unique than I probably could have done on my own. Or if I could have done it, it would have taken me substantially more time, because I would have had to have tapped into something that isn't natural for me. And I definitely would not have the symmetry that we have between all of our maps and communication. And I just, because it didn't matter to me. To me, it was a minute detail that wasn't really paying dividends, so I wasn't necessarily worried about it. But when you partner with people and those dividends matter more to them, it's amazing what you can accomplish. So, over time we have, big partnerships. The partnership that me and you did. Yep. There was the partnership that I did with the Cup family. They are the owners of our Youngstown store. And that was the best deal that we ever made. Mike came on as our operations director and turned into a store owner. And he has been an asset, a friend. He has been phenomenal for the brand. His wife is crazy amazing. But what's so cool about that is that, he's at YSU and he's almost educating our younger customers. And then when they graduate, those customers then come to us and see us. But it's the culmination of everything. And then you add in photographer, videographer, someone really good at social media. You add in an operations director who's also a store owner. You add in, multiple managers that are very heavily invested into the culture and what we're doing, and they have seen growth. You look at, the company is about 10 years old, and, we have Shelby's been with me for 8 or 9 years, which is crazy. So to operate a coffee shop and, to be dealing with, God, I mean, our ability to maintain employees, I think that our rate of retention right now is somewhere in the 90 percentile, which is crazy.
Which is awesome, especially for sometimes people consider just a coffee just as an entry level job. But you've been able to build a foundation for these people that they want to stay and they have a potential for future within that position.
I think one of the most rewarding things that happens is when we have someone that goes to school, they've graduated college, they get the job that they've wanted, the job that they studied for, the job they paid all this money to get. And we have a party and they get a cake and we wish them farewell. And then, I always pull them to the side and say, hey, it's an open door. If this is something that you decide that you don't want to do anymore, give me a call and let's see if we can't work something out. It's always been about, what motivates you? What passions do you have? If I can somehow tailor your end goal to our daily goal, well, then we're going to win. And it is amazing how many people have left for the job. This is the job. And they come back. Hey, man, I got the job and they didn't know my name.
Yep.
And they didn't care about what motivated me. And there was no culture. And I'm tired of sitting all day long, and they don't care about how people feel. I don't feel like I'm doing anything that is bettering today or bettering tomorrow for anybody, including myself, other than just experiencing status quo. I woke up, I went to my job, I got the attaboy, I'm going to get the paycheck. It is what it is. What a sad way to live. I don't want to do that. Yes, you need money to live your life, but you can be happy when you do it. You can smile when you do it. You can make somebody's day brighter while you're doing it. And I think that culture speaks for itself, and the way that we get people retained and the way that they leave and they come back is really the most rewarding situation that we have here. So very, very cool.
Yep. Oh, I think that was a pretty good answer to our first initial question.
Nailed it.
How have you seen the overall brand of StoneFruit transition from the time you created it to where it is now?
Polar different. Yeah. When we first started, again, I was the little micro roaster that was geeking out over one particular product, black coffee.
Yep.
Now, it's still in my cup today is a black cup of coffee. That is really all that I ever drink here. Maybe once every 6 months, I'll have our Buckeye Joe if I'm craving some peanut butter or something sweet. But I drink black coffee, nothing in it, because there is so much time and energy wrapped up into the black cup of coffee. What people don't realize is that here at StoneFruit, we do it all. We source it, we roast it, we grind it, we brew it, we say we love it. It is what it is. That's the whole thing. We literally do everything in-house. So the black cup of coffee or the latte with no flavor are the two things that we should be pushing the most. I call those the holy grail. This is the holy, if you come in and you order a black cup of coffee or my Javachino straight up, it's the holy grail. You're going to make us all really, really, really happy. And in the beginning, I would be the guy that you would come in. Now, again, I'm not seeing many people. I want to reiterate that those first few months, I didn't see human life when I started this company, but that could be another question. So I would get the few random people that would come in and they would order my cup of coffee. And of course, cream and sugar. And I'm the guy that's standing there with no leg to stand on because God knows I need that sale. And I'm saying, will you please just try it before I doctor it up the way that you want it? Will you try it my way, just one sip? Almost in tears trying to tell these people, you have any idea how long it took me to make this cup of coffee? Like, I'll take them in the back and show them this tiny little roaster, you know what I mean, that I literally broke myself on top of to make this cup of coffee. And it's funny to see how it has materialized today. The StoneFruit listens. We have adapted, we have pivoted, and we listen to everything that the customers say. So, as soon as we hit, October, you have pumpkin. I'm standing in this place by myself going, pumpkin? What do you want pumpkin in? You know what I mean? Pumpkin in oh no.
Not in the coffee.
Pumpkin? And then I start thinking you want to be this purist and you want to just do this one thing. And, you're going to sell
sometimes
one cup of coffee
adapt
a month,
to
bro.
what the community wants.
So
and that's pumpkin spice lattes.
We started listening and it was about, 8 months in, we started listening. And then we started to attract some of the kids from the high school. And then everything just went to crap after that because now we're listening to everybody. And ultimately, I think that what's really cool is what it's turned into. Again, with the idea that we've never wanted to be pretentious, with the idea that if you come in and you want to know more about coffee, we would love to talk to you about it. We would love to explain what we're doing and why we're doing it and how we're doing it. But my goal is to not prove you wrong. So if you come in and you have no idea what you're talking about, you will leave like you do because it's not about being right. It's about making you happy. And that has always been the concept in StoneFruit. It was never about being the pretentious coffee guy. It was always about making the people feel good. I wanted you to walk into that original cafe in Canfield and I wanted you to leave feeling just a little bit better than you did before. I wanted you to feel welcome and to feel warranted and to feel respected. And I wanted you to come every single day, but I never wanted to ostracize you because you came every single day. Coffee is something we do every day, right? But if you go to Burger King every day, someone's going to start looking at you a little weird. Like, why are you're eating this every day? This might not be the healthiest choice. Sorry, Burger King. But a cup of coffee, you can get every single day. So you have to develop a relationship with a customer that does not make them feel some type of way to come every single day. So you better learn a name. You better learn kids' names. You better learn dogs' names. You better start getting enthralled in these people's lives and what matters to them, or you're not going to get them back. I heard an adage the other day that we've really tried to stick with is that a good barista doesn't pull excellent shots. A good barista pulls people in the door. And that's what we're trying to do. So over the course of many years, we went from, just a guy trying to get you to try black coffee to literally any flavor you could ever think of. Anything coffee related that you would ever want, we can do it in-house. We have every flavor, every mixture, every concept. If it's coffee related, I got you, period. And I would have never saw that coming 10 years ago. Never. I run pumpkin spice all day, every day, year round. Period. It doesn't matter.
Just in case that one person wants it.
It doesn't matter. Come in March. I've got it. I'm not advertising it, but damn it, it's here.
That's pretty awesome. How have you kept that mindset from jumping from one location to a second location to a third location? How have you tried to keep that consistency from a staff standpoint of keeping that mindset?
So one thing that you'll notice in regards to StoneFruit is that they are all completely identical locations and 100% opposite. Every single one of them. So we have kept the feel and the flow and the science all remains the same. But everywhere we've ever gone, we've had to pivot because we are repurposing space. I've always been a fan of repurposing than building new. So when you go into a bank, or when you go into a place that used to be a bank, it's a little bit tricky. You're going to have to do things around where the vault was, where the safe was, where the pre-existing bathrooms were. So we have done our best to maintain natural flow for every one of the stores. Every store has the same flow. Now, when it comes to staffing and doing things organized and making sure that when you come into the Creekside location versus the Canfield location versus the other Boardman location, are you going to get the same exact drink? Now, this was not always the easiest thing, and this is when we start talking about you can't wear multiple hats.
Yep.
I can't do this by myself. If the reason that this isn't called Josh Fruit or Enormous Bean Coffee Company or Josh's Coffee Company is because I am one simplistic human being that had a passion to brew coffee and to BS with people. That's it. My job was never meant to be, behind a computer crunching numbers and running payroll. And that's not what I love to talk to people. So I always try, a few days a week just to go and talk to people. But again, when we get into, all of the incredible people that we get to work with every day, that's why you experience StoneFruit the way that you experience it as a customer, because we have incredible staffing. We have incredible managers. We have incredible trainers. My wife was my first employee, and she does an amazing job in making sure that we are, extremely fluent in the way that we go from one location to the next. When we unload a new drink, say we come up with, some random concoction of flavor, it will take us approximately 30 days to design that flavor and then to train everyone on staff on how to make it identical. And then we have to go and we have to push that recipe, train on that recipe, let it rest for about a week, and then go back in and ask every single person to make us that drink to make sure that they understand how to make that drink before I can come to you and say, all right, buddy, go ahead and post that we have this drink, we're ready to go. No one understands how incredibly difficult it is to be as consistent as we are. And do we fail at that? Probably every single day. Yes, but we're working towards perfection. That's what we work towards every single day. Every day we go into a store, those managers should not be brewing their own coffee for themselves. They should be asking one of the other employees to make it for them and then watch every single step of the way. If you're getting a black cup of coffee, did they pre-wet the filter? Did they bloom the coffee? Did they give it enough time to extract? Is the cup warm? What's it look like when it comes out? You know what I'm saying? You have to make sure that everybody is doing things identically, but no, it is not easy. But to answer that question as quickly as humanly possible, it would be the staff. We have the best staff ever, the best managers ever, and without them, it would just be me in Canfield in that little shack wondering what in the world is going on. Period.
Which for else. A lot of people, it takes a lot to be okay to hand that off. A lot of people struggle with, I want to be the one that I got to touch everything.
Yeah.
What did you have a specific turning point that allowed you to be like, okay, I'm okay handing this off. I've hit that point of, okay, I can let the child go to school. Like you've reached that point.
So Hunter, we briefly mentioned my wife. Hunter is probably the only reason that there is any autonomy with any of the staff, period. Poor Hunter bumped heads with me so hard for so long. But she was the catalyst. She was the catalyst that got me to realize, like, I think it all started with training. I'm a horrible trainer. What I'm good at, I'm good at.
Yep.
And I tried to be the absolute best, but I'm a little bit crazy when it comes to the level of extreme that I will take particular things, which means that I'm not very good when it comes to helping to teach people from the basics. I get a little frustrated, right?
Yep.
So when we would start training people, we realized, or Hunter realized, hey, you really need to stop doing this. It's hard for me to retain these people because you're coming a little bit hot. And so lo and behold, it would be Hunter. Hunter is the reason that autonomy exists. in the company. She taught me through her pit bull way, that I need to let go. I need to let go. And she was the first person that I trusted to do that. Hunter was, as the first employee and as very vested, and she has a lot of time and energy dedicated into what we do. She took over all of the scheduling initially, and then she started taking over all of the training. Past that, she started to do all of the inventory. And then as soon as she would take on the inventory, we would realize that, she would actually have too much to do. And then as that catalyst, we would bring someone else in, and then they would sort of start picking and choosing things that they could take off of her plate. And I do like to think that that is the reason that we are as autonomous as we are today. And then the biggest, and this is just to show you, how much time it takes to really, truly kind of just let things go and to realize that, just because something isn't posted right now doesn't mean that it's not in the queue to be posted in an hour. Right?
Yep.
Because I would be the first person to call and say, hey, what in the hell is going on with this? Why isn't this done? We need to get this moving. This needs to happen, just because that's what my mind says that it needs to do, which isn't always the right way to do it. But as soon as we had our daughter, autonomy came to life. It had to. And it was the first time that I had a serious choice to make. Am I going to be 100% locked in on every aspect of what we're doing on the business, or am I going to be 100% locked in on my daughter? That's the catalyst. That's the choice, right? And when I was hit with the choice, that's when, we had that conversation with the managers. That's when we sat down and it was like, hey, listen, this is your sector. This is your sector. This is what you're going to do over here. And I'm going to oversee when I have the time to oversee. But we all know how crucial those first few years are. And I didn't want to miss, I don't miss doctor's appointments. Yep. I don't miss those things. This is something that almost mattered more to me. StoneFruit was my first child, if you will, in my own mind, until you witness the birth of a child. And then all of a sudden, as much as I love what we're doing over here, it gave me a little bit more of an understanding as to what is more important. And I think that ultimately it's probably the best thing that has happened, because we're quicker. The more that I let go, I found out the quicker that we could be, the more that I trusted others, the more that others did a better job. The more that I stopped calling and wondering and inquiring, the more that people just started handling it on their own. I would be the first person that we have a group chat with all of our managers, and I would be the first person that somebody would say something. I would give it about 2 or 3 minutes, because that's how quickly I respond. And I would private message that person and say, hey, we're waiting for your response on the group chat. This person is probably in a store with 50 people trying to serve. Yes. They're busy doing something else. And what I realized was the response that I would get back from them on the group chat once I've notified them that they did something was like this. It was more of a half-assed concept, because I'm basically coming at you saying, hey, you've done something wrong, go and fix it. And when I just let go and you respond when you have time to respond, the responses became tenfold better. We became tenfold more fluid. And it's amazing to see that when you truly trust the people that you have to do the job, that they feel fully trusted and they do the job completely better. So yeah, thank you to Hunter and thank you to Ryan, my daughter. And, I think that everyone should be very happy that those two catalyst items hit. Because again, I am, before that happened, it was pretty crazy. I had really, really crazy high expectations for everything that we did, and not that we don't anymore. I've just been able to delegate those expectations to people that I think have a more specialized ability to help the customers and to help the employees and to grow the culture a lot better than I could. And it's given me a much more peaceful existence, because I'm now able to come in here and be free of mind and free of heart to just chat and to talk and be jovial and enjoy my cup of coffee. And, I gave up, a lot to get here. People don't realize that this has been 10 years of ruined relationships and ruined a lot of things, I mean, at one point there was financial ruin, people
don't make
realize
your day to day into a lot of building a business.
Most people, they see that you have a cash register, so you must be rich. But what people don't see is, have I ever made the choice to order 20 pounds of raw coffee or to eat dinner? Yeah. Well, today I just won't eat, but I'm going to get this coffee ordered so that we could come into work tomorrow, in the hopes that maybe I see one human life tomorrow. Any logical person would have eaten, but that just wasn't me. This was going to work no matter what, even if I starved to death. And I think that that's what it takes to get to this point.
Which is pretty cool.
It's crazy.
And it's awesome that you still look back and remember those days of, I put in all this time.
Yeah.
I played all those roles. I was the contractor. I was the plumber. I was the guy fixing the machine. I was the guy ordering the coffee. But now you reach that point, it's like, I'm okay stepping back and letting the people find their path and see them succeed in a company that you've created. It is pretty cool.
Well, it's very rewarding when your dream materializes into somebody else's dream, or when obtaining your dream helps others obtain their dreams. That's what's really cool. I can remember a time where I was pretty concerned if I would be able to live a natural, healthy life operating this business. And, to shoot 10 years down the road and to not only be living the life that I never thought that I could achieve from this, but to see a lot of other people living the life that they never thought that they could achieve from this crazy idea that I had 10 years ago. That was crazy, from, newly remodeled bathrooms with ceilings falling in, to state-of-the-art, best technology, best equipment. It is really wild, what we've been able to do in the time that we've done it. But it is a true testament that if you surround yourself with really good people and you have laser focus and you just simply don't stop, what can you achieve if you just don't stop? You got to be a little crazy to get there. But damn it, if you don't stop, you can do anything that you want to do if you don't stop. If you believe that you can do it, you can materialize it. I don't care what it is. It doesn't matter. You want to drive a Lambo. Think every single day about that car. How are you going to get it? What are you going to do? Maybe you got to wake up a little bit earlier. Maybe you got to stay awake a little bit later. But if you believe hard enough that you could get it, damn it, you're going to get it. 100%. But most people just get lost in this, well, this is as good as it gets. Well, you've accepted that that's as good as it's going to get. I just don't live in that world.
But if you change these minor things, you might get one step closer to 100%.
That. But the real secret that really isn't a secret is that the people that are doing it, we're not jumping 5 miles today. I'm moving millimeters. I'm going to move one fraction of a millimeter forward today, especially today. Today is Canfield Fair, and we hope that everybody goes there. And during that is a very, very slow week for what we do here. So I'm not going to be able to gain traction like I naturally would, but that's okay, because when I don't have to deal with all of the business that's flowing in, it gives me the ability to focus on other things. So this week we will focus on cleaning, organization, culture, listening to staff. I don't get a lot of time just to go and sit down and talk with people. Now we will. So it's just always a pivotal moment, and get yourself a millimeter closer to your goal every single day. And before you know it, you've gone miles.
Yep.
It just eludes a lot of people. It really does.
How have you taken what you've learned from StoneFruit and had the ability and that open mindset to venture into other things, to not let the one business you're working on now restrict you from even expanding more into new territories, whether that's as well as like Steel Valley?
Yeah.
How did you find that okay of like, all right, I want to take this step over here.
Yeah.
I'm going to allot this side of my day to focus on something different.
I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but it really is the truth. It's your people. We would have never been able to bring Steel Valley Brew Works to life if it's the conversations that you don't see. So when Steel Valley Brew Works was coming to fruition and there was the possibility that we might be able to bring that to life, we sat down, myself, all of the managers at that time, investors, partners, And I'm very transparent. The things that we do are very transparent, especially with partnerships. And I believe that that's how you maintain a harmonious relationship with those said people. But I sat down and I said, hey, we have an opportunity. And I think that this opportunity is going to be good not only for the area, but it's going to be good for the current brand that we operate. But if we do this, I need everyone to be okay with it. And I need everyone to understand that I'm going to disappear for about a year and a half. And I'm not talking like you're not going to be able to call me. I'm talking I'm not going to exist to you for over a year. You guys got to figure this out. I don't know who's going to answer the phone. Here's a list of problems I'm not sure who can handle, but we need to delegate these tasks if this is going to happen, because what I'm getting ready to embark on is new to me. I've never done it. I have to teach myself huge construction and all of these different codes and laws and liquor laws. I need to become a bartender. I need to become this is a different level of entrepreneurship what we're getting ready to go into. And I know that myself, I'm not going to be able to handle the weight of that and carry the weight of everything that we're doing over here. So who's ready to carry some weight? And at that time, every single person raised their hand and said, we believe in this and we got your back, and go do what you need to do. And I did, and I disappeared for a year. And again, kudos to Hunter, because Hunter carried majority of that weight. And she held the fort down while I went and we developed Steel Valley Brew Works, which was in development. We did contract negotiations for about a year. We were in development with an architect for about a year. And then it took about a year to build it, 9 months to build it. So 2 years, 9 months to get that thing to fruition. So hey, I'm not going to be here for about a year turned into about 3. And what was incredible was when I came back after that 3 and we launched Steel Valley Brew Works, everything was up. Everything. Stores were up. We had additional opportunity. As soon as I was done with Brew Works, it was an immediate, well, we got to go look at this now. We've got somebody that's interested in doing this over here. And I was like, wow, man, you guys not only held it down, you pushed us forward.
Try to expand it.
It's unbelievable. So it was really a blessing. But again, it's the people that you have. It's the autonomy that you offer. It's the culture that you create. We've been stating, lead with love is one of the mantras that we operate here. And it was very, very cool to see that even from my disappearing act that I did when we designed and developed BrewWorks, to come back and that culture of lead with love and be kind and be courteous had gone even further than I had ever hoped it goes. And that was all because of the staff that we had, and I would pop in periodically here and there. And, but most of the time, if you saw me in a store, during that,
there's a problem.
Well, not only that, but I'd be in the Poland store in one of those front offices, and I would have my massive giant papers sitting out there trying to figure out what in the world I'm doing, because, newsflash, I'm not an architect and I don't know how to read those big giant prints at the time. I know how to read them now. Thank you, YouTube. And but no, it was because of the people that we had and because of the relationships that we forged and because of our amazing employees and customers that we were able to, to bring that to the area. And that's been very well received as well. A nightmare to bring to life, but very well received. So we're very lucky. Now that
you've expanded even to more areas, how have you continued to try to find a balance in the family aspect? Now that you have a daughter with your wife, how have you been able to continue to build that foundation to where you can still be a part of those things? So I'm sure there's a lot of families and parents that will listen to this and may struggle in trying to find that balance. How have you found that balance?
Well, when I find it, I'll tell you. I don't think that there is a magic solution to work-life balance. I think that most successful entrepreneurs will tell you that it is very, very difficult to find a balance between work and life. One of the things that I really try to do, and when I say try, it's because I'm trying every single day. It's not something that I feel I am achieved 100%, but I want to get there, is that when I'm at home and I have the ability to be with my daughter, I am not on my phone. That's the biggest thing. You get home and get rid of this. Push it away. She is locked on to what you are locked on to. So if you are locked on to her, she's locked on to you. If you're locked on to your phone, then your kid just wants your phone. And I know that everyone that may hear this, knows that if you're on your phone, even your dog will look at you like, why are you not paying attention to me? Why are you paying attention to your phone? So I'm really trying to get better with that. And same, when I have time, with my wife, you need to make sure that you're methodically taking dates. I am a firm believer that the number one relationship in my household is myself and my wife. And my daughter comes second. She's a very near second, but my daughter is not number one to me. It can't be. My number one is my wife. My daughter is number two. And if we maintain that unity, I really think that anything is possible. You just need to wake up every single day, and we all have a choice. Am I going to spend 14 hours at work, or am I going to do my absolute best to work efficiently, to trust the people that I have, and to spend the time with the people that help me get there, or am I going to waste it? We can all wake up a little bit earlier. We can all stay up a little bit later. We all have things that matter to us. I enjoy going to the gym. It helps me stay centered. I really try my hardest that time that I go to the gym does not impede my family, because now not only are they combating with work, but they're also combating with the things that keep me whole, mind, body, and spirit. And you can't do that. I enjoy a cigar. I enjoy some tequila. And if I'm going to do that, it's after the baby goes to sleep. It's after my wife goes to sleep. And if I still have the ability and the wherewithal and the time, and I'm still awake when that happens, then that's when I'll go in the garage. The garage is my little space, and I'll have that stogie and that little bit of tequila, and that'll be when I breathe. But it's important to, when you're talking about work-life balance, especially, I like to think as a man, you have to be willing to do everything for those people. Does that make sense?
Yep.
You feel the stress so that they can feel the peace. You carry the weight so that they can walk light. You have to be okay sacrificing so that your people can have everything that they want, but then you get them. And if you get them, you essentially have everything. But I think that the more unselfish that you can be in the time that you are doing the things that you think are important, the better you'll be. But there's no magic answer. Every day you need to choose, and what's more important. And there are particular days to where, I get pulled and there's some serious problems, but we have been very blessed through, again, really good employees and really good customers, that my wife is able to stay home, and my wife can tend to the baby, and she is the CEO of my house. I am the founder and the co-owner of StoneFruit, and she is the queen of that house. I have a garage, and I'm good. I don't want to, whatever she wants to do, she can do. She was very kind in allowing me to get the style of place that I wanted. But if she wants to do something to the bathroom, it's her damn bathroom. I don't mess around, man. That is her house, and she is the boss. But you got to be okay with that. I have a quote. Let me find this quote. This is good. If I can find it. Yes, it's called The Persian Love Story. And this kind of is a segue to what we were talking about. And I think that this could be the solution to most people in regards to work-life balance. And this is really from a man's aspect to the people that he tends to. And it goes, life is yours, death is mine. Peace is yours, stress is mine. Happiness is yours, sorrow is mine. Everything is yours, but you are mine. If you can embody that, nothing will stop you. If you can understand that is the job of a father and of a good man, you don't have a work-life imbalance, because you know what matters. Mm-hmm. I'm not at work because I want to be at work, or because StoneFruit means more to me over there. I am here because this is a necessity to enjoy that. But if you do it right, you get to that adage of it's lonely at the top. It's only lonely at the top if you don't bring anybody with you, right? So my wife is next to me at the top. My daughter is next to me at the top. I'm not lonely. They're just here. You might see them in the next few minutes. I don't know where she's going, but my daughter is the most socialized person you're ever going to meet in your entire life, because she is basically a 13-month barista. You
Little
know,
mascot for StoneFruit.
it is what it is. But I think that that's what you need to do. You need to keep your people, heavily enthralled and heavily invested into what you do, but operate with the right mentality, and you really won't have any issues.
Now, how do you view legacy? Now that you have a daughter, how has having Ryan changed your outlook on the future of your businesses, as well as how you go into your day-to-day?
That's a good question. So that has drastically changed. If you would have asked me 2 years ago about legacy, I probably would have told you something like, I really hope that the last name Langenheim will mean something a little bit greater when I leave this world versus when I was here. I would have said that is my legacy. I'm going to make my name mean something. It will ring positive remembrance. People will say, he was a good guy and he did this and he did that and he changed this and he helped us here. Asking me today, legacy, I hope my daughter thinks I'm a good dude. That's it. Mm-hmm. Everything else doesn't compute. It doesn't matter. If my daughter wants to hang out with me when she's older and I can maintain my marriage the way that it's being maintained today for forever, I got to watch. That's legacy. I don't think I can go any further. Uh-huh. That's legacy. But that's what should matter.
Yep.
All the other crap, I don't think it matters. Oh, my dad's cool. I won. Screw the coffee. My daughter thinks I'm cool. That's
I want
it.
to hang out with Dad today.
That's it.
I want to get ice cream with Dad.
That's it. There's your legacy. Hands down. So, yeah, having a kid changes things. Whoa.
Now, I guess a legacy of StoneFruit. What's your hopes of StoneFruit moving forward? Like, say, 10 years from now or 20 years from now, how do you envision it looking?
I think that StoneFruit has a really good opportunity for a really wild trajectory. We have shown phenomenal growth since inception. Year over year, we are doing better than the year previous. And StoneFruit's legacy, I really hope embodies that culture that we talked about earlier on today. It's about leading with love. It's about being kind. It's about having employees that leave work feeling comfortable and confident and like they've done something important, because you are. At StoneFruit, we're not serving coffee, we're brewing an experience. And if we do that the right way, that will withstand the test of time. Because you can, listen, it's no secret, you could go to Myers across the street. They got an aisle of coffee. It's tenfold. Was it roasted at Steel Valley Brew Works right down the road? Is it wildly, incredibly fresh? No. Do they have relationships with the farmers? No. Do they care about it the way that we care about it? No. But to most consumers, they just want a cup of coffee. And I think that it's real important to remember that to most consumers, they just want a cup of coffee. It's how we wrap up the cup of coffee. It's the interaction that we have. It's the feeling, you know what I mean?
Experience of getting that coffee. It's the experience of walking into a StoneFruit location.
If we do our job the right way, you don't just get a cup of coffee. You get a cup of coffee and you get a boost to your day. You get somebody that genuinely meant hello, that genuinely meant goodbye. When they asked you how you were doing, we looked at you and we waited for a response because we care about how you're doing. Now, if the cup of coffee comes with a genuine how are you doing, that cup of coffee is going to taste a hell of a lot better. And that's what we're pushing here at StoneFruit. And I think that because that is the goal every single day, that culture is the goal every single day, that brewing an experience and a relationship and a friendship and an understanding matters more to us than this cup. That is why this cup will always mean more to that customer, because it means so much more to us. And like we said, A good barista is not here to pull a really good shot. A good barista is to pull people into the business and to keep them there. 100%. We tell everybody, I don't care who you are. We don't care what race you are. We don't care what religion you are. We don't care if you love coffee. We love you, period. That is the recipe for success. I think we're recession proof. Where's the ending on being kind? I'm pretty sure that in 20 years, kindness is going to matter. And if we are genuinely a kind company and we are genuinely here to make you feel better about your day, and we are genuinely giving you the best product that we humanly can at the most fair price, how do we lose? It's the easiest, most simplistic, unpompous, I'm not putting anything into this. I'm not fueling this in any way. It's a good product at a fair price wrapped up with people that really care about who you are. If you can't get behind that, you're just not meant for me. And I'm okay with that. But if we follow those rules, we will not only be here in 10, 20 years, but there will be way more of these places because my management is strong. My employees are not leaving. Our management group is only growing and getting better. Those managers, I want to eventually be co-owners of these locations. And we're going to keep going and we're going to keep growing. And if we do our job the right way, we will always be able to attract the next person like you that says, hey, I see what you've been doing. I'm really good at this. You're really good at coffee. Let's bring them together. Who's the next Liam?
Yep.
Who is that? We're in negotiations with a few people right now that we won't mention, but these are pretty crazy Liams.
Some big growth.
There are some people that are possibly, coming on board with us that can really change the game for what we're doing. And the only reason that we're able to even have those types of discussions is because we have proven over the test of time that we're not just full of crap. We're really doing this. This really does matter. We are who we say we are.
There's numbers to show that. There's locations to show that. There's experiences and stories to show that.
And don't even listen to us. You know what I mean? The number one thing that you have to deal with when creating a new business is a business plan. You go to a bank and they're going to say, I need your business plan. We have the best business plan known to man. Pick a store and go sit there. There's my business plan. Feel it. Feel the energy. Feel the engagement. Feel the connection. And if that doesn't engage you, then I'm just not for you. That's it. I have nothing left to prove. You shouldn't even need to see my numbers. You know how you feel when you get the cup. That feeling translates into the finances. Yep. It is what it is.
And that is the definition of StoneFruit Coffee.
There it is, Bubba.
There we go. Well, I think that's a good kind of ending point right there.
I feel good about it.
There we go. Well, appreciate you finally getting you on a mic. We'll have to do a little round 2 in a few months from now. Who knows? Or maybe it'll be another year and a half at this rate.
I'll see you in 3.5 years. Next one we do, I'd love to sit down with the managers.
That'd be
awesome. Let's sit here with Cassie. Let's sit here with Joe. We'll get Shelby involved. Get Hunter in here. I'd love to get her. I would love to hear what Hunter says when you say, hey, what was it like to get Josh to just let you do your job without him being on your back? And then get ready.
Those days like?
Do you have the little bleeper? Make sure to have the bleeper with you. Because I put her through some shit, bro. Oh, my God. That's it.
Cool.
That was awesome.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, Liam. Appreciate you, brother.
StoneFruit Studios.
Let's go.